All right, everyone. Hello. Happy Wednesday evening. Today is the final session, session 8 of Product University, the May-June edition. Thank you all so much for joining me on this final call. We have a short and sweet finalizer to all the different things we've learned today, or learned rather the last couple of weeks. And then at the end, we have a final exam. So if you're someone that typically, is fixing dinner or you're driving or whatnot during Product University, I might suggest that you sit down for that final exam because there are some prizes. But without further ado, let's first get into the content for today. All right. So today, as I had mentioned, discussion is on the Riemann ritual itself, why your skincare should always be self-care. Now, for the last few weeks, we've gone through the various prongs of the Riemann product philosophy. We've gone through the science and the physiologies of your hair, your skin, your gut microbiome, etc. And so for today's discussion, it's a bit more of a romantic approach to education. We're looking at how you can maximize your skincare routine, not from a performance perspective, but merely in your connection to the products themselves. It's realistically how you can appreciate your position as a consumer within the personal care industry. And so, with that, designing your routine and its desired outcomes is a platform for opportunity and for personal exploration. I have always mentioned that each individual is unique, of course, in their skin, but also in what they want to look like, both their aesthetic goals, their skin health perceptions. And so, these differences allow us to interact with the personal care offerings, both inside Riemann and outside, differently. And this is a good thing. This is an exciting thing that we're able to utilize these products and to have that individualized experience. With that, you're able to cater your routine to what is unique to you, your skin concerns, and your lifestyle. And every time I teach this round, I always mention that the guy in the background of this photo is my father. So my dad was, or always has been rather, very into his own personal care. Sometimes there have been days where we're all getting ready for dinner and he takes the longest out of anyone. And not only is that a testament that men can practice skincare too, but it's also the appreciation that there is no gender or there is no specific image to personal care. It is for everybody. And so I always like to mention that that is my dad because, of course, I in part learned that desire to take care of myself from him alongside my mother and, of course, in the media I consume. But in bringing that back to Riemann, it all comes down to our mission statement, our very origin. We are fully focused in shifting modern day's appreciation of skincare. So often your skincare becomes an afterthought, whether you're getting up early to take care of kids or get ready for work and you have to put something on your face. And by the end of the day, well, you have to wash it off. It's all these have-tos, these obligations. Riemann is in the full focus of shifting those obligations to inspiration and ultimately transformation. We want individuals to truly look forward to their skincare routine at the beginning and at the end of the day as a moment to slow down and honor themselves through the practice of their skincare. And as such, this allows you to incorporate self-care every single day, something that many Americans and beyond don't think they have time for. But realistically, it is how you adjust your approach and your agency in your own skincare routine. Of course, the second prong to our mission statement is once you do feel confident in your physical appearance, in your connection with the products, you want to share it with those around you simply in the hopes of bettering their lives as well. And so in this, Remon and Remon's products expands outside of simply a business opportunity. Not only are we wholeheartedly focused in the products themselves, their efficacy and the safety, but we're also focused in you, how you interact with these products to perceive that difference, not only in the actual product, but in yourself as well. And so, in approaching our mission statement, we categorized and organized everything into rituals. And so, why did we recommend rituals? Why do we recommend multiple steps? And it all roots down in our K beauty focus because, as we had mentioned in our very first discussion in session one, treatment in K beauty focuses on prevention and protection rather than problem solving. We're wanting to work with the health of the skin instead of against presenting issues, such that those issues don't occur to begin with. And to do so, that means prioritizing gentler ingredients and keeping harsher actives that do work or are well known just to a lower concentration to maintain your skin's integrity. With this then culminates into the largest characteristic of K beauty products in general, which is that multi-step routine. Staying consistent, layering these products and layering these gentler ingredients is how you bring about not only performance and an efficacy you can see, but one that lasts long term. And so with this and in our goal to work with your skin, the variety of personal care goals you may have, aesthetic skin goals that you may have, can be achieved through that consistency and through committing to specific Remon products over time. With that, then it allows you to have the agency to otherwise mix and match products, find the ritual that's right for you, but ultimately in staying consistent with a specific routine, that is where you see the results. And within the various offerings we have, we always categorize each offering into the basic tenets of K beauty of cleanse, hydrate, and protect. And this is what, of course, we discussed in session 3 of skin physiology, but these are the most basic forms of skincare realistically for any fundamental skincare routine, but they are core in achieving your skin health. A variety of different skin concerns come from root causes of just dehydration or overexposure, which of course is in the realm of protection. So we simplified everything down to these basic tenets to help you approach your personal care in, of course, a less complexified manner. And so with cleanse, of course, you're removing daily impurities, but you're also prepping the skin for accurate absorption of products applied after your cleansing routine. And hydrate is that core activity here. When Chairman On created Insulderm or ICD, he wanted to focus on the fundamentality of skin hydration. And when your skin is lacking water content, a variety of aesthetic concerns prevail, such of course as dryness, but also as skin sagging, fine lines and wrinkles, and general discomfort. And so within hydration, we also lump moisturization, but it's just ensuring that your skin has the proper water and oil levels for cellular health, cellular processes, and of course for glow as well. And to finish it off, we have protection. You're providing security against external aggressors that are associated with a variety of skin problems with, of course, a layer of protection. And within protection, the most typical form of protection is UV protection. UV overexposure is detrimental to the skin with long terms of that exposure. But at the same time, we also reinforce that protection can be reinforcing your skin's innate protection, which is your skin barrier. So ensuring your skin barrier is intact, there is no transepidermal water loss from the lower layers. You're also inhibiting irritant penetration from the outside, can also greatly help maintain all the efforts you've put into your skincare routine. And so with this all in mind, every Remon ritual that we have designed falls into satisfying these three basic tenets, but also allows you to otherwise begin with something to understand and begin to interact with the products, but then you can otherwise branch off and find what mixing and matching can do for you and for your skin. And so we start with, of course, the signature Riemann ritual. This is our lengthiest ritual, but it is not without purpose to have each of these steps. We go in with those cleansing offerings, the moisture cleansing oil, snow enzyme, or the cleansing powder wash for fully cleansing your skin and prepping it. And then there's so many hydration offerings. So reinforcing that water content, reinforcing moisturization, and of course, beyond there, having ancillary benefits towards the increase of brightness of the skin or reducing the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles. And then we have protection to seal the deal. And so the signature Riemann ritual is the most complete approach to those basic K-beauty tenets. But we, of course, also offer the simplified version of the signature Riemann ritual and the advanced version. And within the advanced version, very similar in approach. You still have your cleanse, you still have your hydrate. Protect also falls into this category because of that high oil load. It's going to reinforce the skin barrier, but you should always be wearing a sunscreen. So if you want to consider the sunscreen as your step 6 in this routine, absolutely do so. But simplistically, with the advanced Riemann ritual, we are looking for that kind of skin type that appreciates high oil products, such as mature or extremely dry skin and non-sensitive skin, the things we discussed last session, or excuse me, the session prior, session 6. And finally, to seal the deal, we have that essential Riemann ritual. For those that perhaps are completely new to skincare routines, they're overwhelmed with the possibilities of products that they can choose. This is one of the easiest ways to warm them up to the ideas. It most simplistically embraces those K-beauty tenets of cleanse, hydrate, and protect, focusing on simply cleansing with one cleanser, the Boo and Dermatology Cream mix, and the protection with the Aqua Protection sunscreen. And of course, we create these to give you guidance, but beyond that, you are welcome to create your own Riemann ritual. As we always say, the right Riemann ritual is the ritual that's right for you. So that is why we always encourage discussion, exploration, and also emailing me. If you're emailing the ritual at Riemann email saying, hey, I'm not seeing much efficacy, or my skin seems irritated with this product line, there is always room for adjustment. And that is part of the beauty of interacting with the personal care industry. So with all of that in mind and understanding, why we categorized our offerings into rituals, into basic routines of cleansing, hydrating, and protecting, how can you shift your skincare into self-care so that it's something you can practice daily? Now, it's largely based in romanticizing your routine, in really harnessing that sentiment I said at the beginning with that picture of my dad of being excited to try things new, to try mixtures and to try new products, etc. But it's also the opportunity to enjoy the social aspect of specifically the Riemann ritual. One of the greatest strengths of Riemann is the family that it supports, family that you are all a part of. And in this, whether it's the Planner Facebook group or individual social media pages, even individual chats, allowing yourself that moment to interact with people doing similar routines or ones that have tried something you maybe haven't tried yet, greatly allows you to introduce some novelty into your routine. Because oftentimes in practicing our skincare, we get swept up in the monotony of it. It is always going to be the same because we are insisting consistency with these routines to see results, but it doesn't have to be monotonous if you enjoy the outward benefits of this routine, the connections I'm mentioning, the ability to mix and match or to try new things or to incorporate new products like the Collagen 100 melting sheet a couple times a week, whatever it may be. But you can also include beauty tools within your routine like gua shas or jade rollers, and you can also set up your environment to encourage relaxation. So there are certain people who love to do their skincare, of course, right after their nightly shower or bath. So you're already kind of relaxed. You had that hot water. Perhaps you've lit a candle, have some music or podcast playing in the background. All of this brings you more in focus to what you are doing. And also, with specifically using those tools, it gives you some physical agency in your skincare routine. You are utilizing those various tools to massage the products into the skin, but they themselves feel fantastic, especially if you stick one of them in the freezer, for the example, that can always have a cooling sensation. So there are many different things that I haven't mentioned here, not only to improve the environment you're practicing your skincare in, but to also increase your physical agency with your products, but it's just all in general maintaining your skincare as a self-care routine by allowing yourself the moments to experience everything, to experience the sensory aesthetics, to experience the glow you see, etc. And that's all about romanticizing your routine. And last but certainly not least, something I have been repeating throughout the call is embrace the potential for personalization. This routine is open for you to explore. The signature, advanced, and essential Riemann ritual, while general guidelines, and for many are their exact routine to a T, are also just suggestions. So feel free to remove products, add products, what you see necessary for your skin type and skincare goals. And so with that, as I had mentioned, this is always a rather quick end to our Product University sessions, but that was it for today's discussion on your Riemann ritual. So please feel free to download the outline here, but don't go away just yet because as I had mentioned, we still have a little bit more content to go through. So as you are scanning this QR code, as per usual, we are also dropping the URL in the chat as well. So I'll give a little bit of time for individuals to either scan the QR or to click on the link. All right, and so for those of you that do not want to stick around for the final exam, I apologize that you logged in for just about 15 minutes, but I so appreciate you staying committed to attending. And so I do want to have kind of a little message of gratitude to you all for any who are wanting to head off from this call. But I appreciate you all so much. I thank you all so much for taking the time out of your day, whether you came to just one session or all 8, to not only understand Riemann, but to maximize your own skincare and your own personal care journey. Because, of course, the products go beyond simply the facial skin. And it truly is an honor for me to be able to teach you all these things, but it's also so heartwarming to see the types of message you send me in return, whether it is to the ritual inbox or even in the chat, which I always read when I say goodnight to you guys. It warms my heart. You all are so beautiful, not, of course, both physically, but so beautiful as personalities as well. So I am so appreciative and I thank you for your time. And also, congratulations, you have officially graduated Product University. But if you want to stick around, there is an optional final exam. So let's get into that. And just so you know, you do not need to participate. You got your attendance, which allows for graduation. So there is recognition at Roadmap coming up in September. But if you want to test your knowledge, if you want to see what you can remember, stick around for the final exam. And so the key thing about the final exam, of course, is that there are prizes. So the final exam is going to be a set of 9 questions. And I'll go in a bit more detail when we get to that webpage about how you can answer these questions. But first place is $200 in Riemann product credit, all the way to third place receiving $50 in Riemann product credit. So that's why I had mentioned if you typically are doing other things during these calls, you might want to sit down for participation in the final exam. It's just 9 quick questions. Each question is timed 45 seconds. So it'll take just a couple of minutes, but I would love for us to all get into this and I would love to see who wins this time around. So let me pause for a minute so I can switch to the new screen. All right, so as you can see in front of you, there is a QR code. This QR code is going to get you into our final exam, which is hosted on an ancillary website. So please use this code, or what you can do is go to crowd.live and enter the code 5QW3D. And let me actually copy this right now and drop it into the chat as well. All right, so yes, I'm going to give quite a bit of time for you all to get signed up for this. I see we already have a couple of players signed up. No rush. I don't want this to be stressful. I just want it to be fun. So take your time. But again, you can either utilize that code 5QW3D on crowd.live, which is what you would enter into your search bar, or you can use this QR code and scan with your phone. When you do scan with your phone, it'll ask you to input your first and last name, your email, and your planner ID. If you are someone who doesn't have a planner ID, there is no worry. This is not required information, but what we do need at least is your email. So I'm going to wait just a couple of seconds to, or not a couple seconds, I'm going to wait a little bit longer so everyone can get signed up. We have about 23 people signed up now and quite a few many more people on this call. So I want to give you all some time to get logged in. All right, so I'll give just about 30 more seconds. Oh, great question. So I know many people have been asking for the recordings. So now that we have finished this final session, we're going to start rolling out the recordings of all sessions on the drive. So we will announce in many different locations, both on social media, also on the monthly rundown, which is next Tuesday, with links to these drive assets. So you'll be able to revisit all of these recordings. But I'm going to start playing in about 20 seconds. We have quite a few people signed up. So let me just drop the link one more time in the chat. And again, you can utilize the oh my gosh, QR code shared on the screen, but we will get started shortly. All right, so we're going to get started with our final exam. And so how it plays out, it's going to be 9 questions. 7 of those questions are taken from each session that we've gone through, minus of course our Q&A sessions. So sessions 1 all the way to what we learned today. But with that in mind, the questions are things that are not only on the outlines, but also have been discussed on the call. And I try not to make them extremely specific so that you would have opportunity to recall this information. What's most important is that as these questions are timed, there's 45 seconds each question. Not only do you get points for answering the question correctly, you get more points for how quickly you answer. And so that allows us to differentiate because there are so many people on this call, just who is first, second, and third. Furthermore, for questions 8 and 9, these are more difficult questions. So they still have content that has been mentioned on the calls, but they're a little bit more specific. And for that reason, those questions are both worth 200 points each. Every other question begins at 100 points at 45 seconds and slowly counts down as the timer goes down as well. But again, no stress if you do not know the answer to something. Once in a while, I always make a question a little harder than I intended to, but it's really just to see and test how much you have learned in the last couple of weeks. So without further ado, let's get started with our final exam. All right, question one. What does ICD stand for? All right, we got about 20 seconds left. All right, so that was the end of the first question. The correct answer was B, incellular, intra or intercellular dermatology. So let's see how many got that correct. Awesome, 67 people, or 67%, excuse me, got that correct. And so let's see the first rankings on the leaderboard. At first, we have Icornia Reyes, and I believe you played last Product University as well, and I still didn't know how to pronounce your name, so I apologize for that, but awesome. Miss Lady is in second, awesome, Miss Lady, and third is Shannon, awesome. All right, so this often switches around quite a bit as we continue on in the questions, so let's go to question 2. All right, what is the scientific name for Byungpool? We mentioned many different names for Byungpool, but what is its core scientific name, what you will see on the ingredient lists on your products? All right, just a couple seconds left. All right, so the correct answer was A, Centella asiatica, and I can already see at the top that almost all of you got it correct. That is awesome. I'm so glad y'all can see that. So Centella, of course, is that scientific name. Camellia sinensis is actually the scientific name for green tea. Asiatic pennywort is one of the names for giant Byungpool, but it's otherwise just one of those names, trade names rather. And Melaleuca alternifolia is tea tree oil. So awesome, 93%. Our rankings again shifted a bit. We have now Donna in first, Nick in second, and Sandra in second as well. And there's no third. So, okay, so that's awesome. If we do have a tie, of course, you will get both compensated that same amount. So no worries there. But let's go to question 3. The cell types that create pigment within the skin are known as what? And this is from session 3. So originally I had this question be a little more specific, but I took it out because I felt like it gave the answer away. But if you'll remember, pigment in your skin is known as melanin. And so the key answer were your melanocytes, and 83% got that correct. That is awesome. So yes, your melanocytes are the cell types that create melanin or pigment. Fibroblasts are what produce collagen and elastin within the dermis. Your keratinocytes and corneocytes are both skin cells in general. So your keratinocytes are those freshly differentiated skin cells, what you can otherwise perceive as skin cells. They have no function other than creating that barrier. Corneocytes is as they begin to travel up the skin before eventually desquamating off the skin or otherwise sloughing off as dead skin. As such, the rankings have changed. So Janelle is first, Pogi T second, and second is Karen Kim as well. So another tie there. Perfect. Let's go to question 4. What is the name for the growth phase of the hair? If you remember, there are 3 phases at which your hair can be in any time. This is the majority of your hair is in this phase, and it is the longest phase as well. Just a couple of seconds left. All right, so this one might have been a little bit of a harder question, but the correct answer was C. Anagen is your growth phase. And then you obviously also have catagen and telogen. And so about 38% got that correct. So protogen is not a phase. I unfortunately made that up. But anyways, I knew that was a bit of a harder question. I wanted to see if y'all remembered the various phases of the hair growth cycle. But with that, we now have Poe in first, Diane in second, and Liam Matsuda in second as well. All right, let's go to question 5. Potential benefits of prebiotic fibers like Deep Talk Plus include all of the following except what? So you are selecting what it does not include. So what is a wrong answer here? All of the other questions or all the other answers are correct. All right, so the correct answer, or I guess incorrect, something that does not or is not a performance of prebiotic fibers would be C, deposit live bacteria into the microbiome. Anything with live bacteria, it's going to be a probiotic. Instead, prebiotic means you're providing carbon or a food source to the bacteria that already exists within your gut microbiome. And so we had 42% actually select that. Majority actually selected D, provide mood support, but that is the key thing that we discuss with the gut microbiome is that it houses a variety and a majority of your serotonin and your dopamine, and specifically the neurotransmitters, the serotonin and dopamine, are byproducts of that bacteria in your gut digesting fiber. So with that, yes, C was the correct answer. And so we now have Janice at first place, Poe is back in second, and third is Leanne Matsuda. All right, and so we're finishing up the questions that are just 100 points. Let's go to question 6. The percentage of Giant Byung Pool in the 3 core products of the dermatology line, booster, serum, and cream in that order are what? So this was mentioned a couple of times. It was also on the outline for session 6 as well. The booster, the serum, and the cream in that order. Again, this is a little bit of a harder question, I will admit that, but this is crucial to understanding these products specifically, so definitely want to include it. But on that note, let's see, that correct answer was B, 89% in the booster, 73% in the serum, 67% in that dermatology cream, and a majority got that correct. That's awesome. So yes, 89, 73, 67. Now, Melissa is in first place. We have Terry Busby in second and Sandra Moorhead in third. All right, and here's our last 100-point question. Which of the following options is a way to transform your skincare into self-care? We just covered this. All right, so time is up. The correct answer, of course, is all of the above. Incorporating tools, modulating your environment, and of course, participating in the Remon family are all ways in which you can shift your perception of skincare into a routine of self-care. And a majority have got that correct, so 79%. With that, the ranking stayed pretty solid. So Melissa's still in first, and Sandra and Terry swap places with Sandra in second and Terry in third. All right, so now for questions 8 and 9, these are worth 200 points. They're more specific, a little more difficult, but yet they were still mentioned within the calls. So, question 8, how large is the Riemann Smart Farm? This was mentioned in call 2 or session 2. So how large is the Riemann Smart Farm? About 20 seconds left. All right, so the correct answer to this question is B, 150,000 square feet, and 74% of you got it correct. That is awesome. I'm so glad you all know that. So yes, 150,000 square feet. I thought this would be one of the harder questions, but I guess it was the antigen or telegen question. But with that, Sandra is first, Leanne in second, and Scott is in third. Welcome to the leaderboard, Scott. So we are finishing up with this final question, question 9. For enhanced delivery, the dermatology products have what, while the Radiance 100 products use what? And make sure the order does matter of these two options. All right, so the correct answer was C. The dermatology products have those Centella asiatica exosomes from our giant Byung pool, and of course, Radiance 100 has those nanoliposomes. So 54% got that correct. I did know that this would also be a little confusing because I just swapped the answers. So it's exosomes for Derm EX or dermatology, not EX anymore, that's the old line, and nanoliposomes for Radiance 100. So without further ado, let's see the winners for the final exam. Oops, let me just go back to the beginning, huh? Let's go to, where are the winners? Unfortunately, I restarted this question, so we have to go through it again. Oh, there we go. I can pause it. All right, let's see those winners. Third place was Leanne Matsuda. You were a winner of a $50 gift card. Second place, Sandra Moorhead for a $100 Riemann gift card. And in first place, Mr. Scott Allen for a $200 Riemann gift card. Awesome job, y'all. That is fantastic. So many of you answered the questions correctly, but y'all got the 7 out of 9 correct. So I'm taking a screenshot right now. I will be individually emailing you all just to mention if we have submitted the coupon to your account, and it should be within your account in about 3 to 5 days. But on that note, thank you all so much for attending. Chris, you can turn the music off. Thank you all so much for attending. I echo simply my sentiments I said before we started the final exam. I am just so happy that I can teach you all this education, and whether this is your third time going through Product University or your first, and if you have designs to come to the next one, I just really appreciate that you all want to take that time to learn. And so on that note, I hope you have a fantastic Wednesday, and congratulations on graduating Product University. I'll see you next time.